Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. We'll get started here in just a few moments. We've got a lot of people still logging on, so I want to give them just a minute. I'll remind you of this again in just a few moments, but go ahead and grab a piece of paper and a pen. We have a renowned medical doctor with us tonight. You're going to want to take some notes, but we've also put together a quiz so that you can evaluate what your risk factors are associated with toxicity. And you're not going to want to miss this information. So if you'll give me just a minute, we'll get started. Just need to switch the slides over and just 1 second. Here we go. Okay, let's do this officially. My name is Eddie Stone. Over the next several minutes, we're going to hear from a renowned medical doctor. Dr. Alex Lee will expose a key factor behind most, if not all, disease. You rarely hear this talked about in mainstream media, but this information is vital to your well-being, and in fact, it could even save your life. And we're going to reveal how a particular type of natural mineral can provide a pure, 100% effective solution to strengthen your natural defenses and to protect your well-being of not just you, but also of your family. Now, if you're listening today, it's likely that you or someone you care about has fallen victim to one of these devastating diseases that just plague our society today. Issues with heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, or even cancer. And so you probably know what it's like to see someone struggle with the diagnosis, the terrible side effects that often come with prolonged treatment, and the all too often heartbreaking outcome. What you might not know, and that we're going to reveal today, is how many of these diseases, they share a common underlying cause. And there's something else you can do right now, in addition to your lifestyle and habits, to strengthen your natural defenses so that your body's own regenerative abilities can be restored. But you're not going to find it in any superfood or any vitamin supplement on a store shelf. And the information we're about to share, it's just for not just for those with serious health concerns, but people that are dealing with sort of those everyday issues. The issues we sort of write off as just being a part of a busy or a stressful or a demanding life. Things like catching colds frequently, finding it hard to fall asleep or stay asleep, or even being susceptible to infections. And then, of course, there's those that find it very difficult to lose weight, even when they cut calories, issues with bloating and digestive problems. And then there's what I call brain fog or mind fog that just makes it hard to think clearly. And I could go on and on. But all of these concerns, they really have the same root or underlying issue. It's all around us, but it's impossible to see. But just because it's invisible doesn't make it any less real. And of course, it affects everyone. And what I'm talking about are environmental toxins. And today, we're going to show you how these invisible killers, that's really what they are, have risen to such an epidemic proportion. And I promise that we're going to share real solutions so that you can reclaim your health and rediscover that lost vitality, energy, and clarity that we begin to think is impossible to recapture. But before we jump into this, I want to ask you to quickly, if you can, find a pen and a piece of paper. Because as we go through this, I'm going to be asking you a few questions, and from your answers, you'll see how toxic your body may be. So we're going to go through our toxicity quiz, and we're going to see how you rate. So as I said at the outset, today we're speaking with Dr. Alex Lee, who is a board-certified physician in internal medicine and gastroenterology. We will be discussing how detox and cleansing are really very different issues. They're big buzzwords right now, but most people are going about it all wrong. And so we're going to show you right away how to detox properly. We will also be discussing the high price of the modern chemical industry that makes our lives more convenient, but those conveniences, they come at a price and actually contribute to what makes us sick. So we'll share simple steps to reduce your body burden of these chemicals. And we'll also show you how your health may be hurting because of heavy metals. You'll find out if you're at risk from these cancer-causing substances and how you can protect your body. So let's dive into it. I want to introduce our very special guest speaker, Dr. Alex Lee. He is an assistant clinical professor of medicine at UCLA. He is a renowned physician, board certified in internal medicine, as I mentioned earlier, in gastroenterology. He received his doctorate of medicine from the prestigious University of Southern California Medical School, and he did his fellowship at UCLA. He's been in private practice in Southern California for over 20 years, and he continues to, addition to that, enjoy academic appointments at UCLA. So he's a busy man. He's a very serious scientist, but he also makes the time to sit on medical advisory boards for several organizations that are dedicated to medical research and education. So Dr. Lee, thank you for making the time to be with us.
Thank you, Eddie, for the kind introduction, and thank you for allowing me the time to share some of my expertise and really my passion about a topic that's critically important and affects everybody.
So we're going to drive right in, right? And we're talking about toxins today and how they're affecting us.
Well, with environmental toxins, our exposure builds up over time. It's not like food poisoning where you can become ill very quickly and you know it was the food you ate last night that did it. With toxins, we don't see big effects right away. They have a cumulative effect that builds up over time. The symptoms may not be readily noticeable at first, and the onset may be insidious. So think of it like a dripping faucet. Maybe in the beginning you don't notice it at first, but given enough time, it can flood your whole house.
I think that's a perfect example. So what are some of the symptoms that can be related to toxic exposure?
Well, at the doses we're exposed to, most toxins act as a slow poison in the body. So they have subtle effects that accumulate until the immune system is overwhelmed. So the symptoms of low-dose exposure may initially present with things such as allergies or asthma, chronic headaches, frequent infections, learning disabilities, loss of energy, chronic fatigue, or it may manifest itself as something like catching cold several times a year. More seriously, it can cause problems such as high blood pressure, imbalances in the blood sugar, not sleeping well, decreased libido, even problems with, weight control, gaining a lot of weight. So these issues are often misdiagnosed, and some are not even characterized as being, a normal part of life or of getting older, but they are not normal. That's not the optimal way that our body should feel.
So I was just making note from, what you were saying, how I have seen some of these issues in my own life. And for those that are listening with us today, let me encourage you to make notes there, because we'll go back and sort of check those notes. Dr. Lee, without getting too deep into the science, why is it that we have so many issues related to toxic exposure?
Well, toxins affect our bodies in two very fundamental ways. One is that they block key receptor sites in our cells. So specifically at enzyme receptors on the surface of the cells and inside the cells, they affect our cells' ability to metabolize energy. And so if you consider that every function in your body depends on cellular metabolism to drive that function, it becomes a problem when that cellular energy is not efficient. So it's like, think of it this way. It's like an engine that's burning up fuel, but not generating much power. So we end up with a lack of energy, not sleeping well, feeling fatigued. And if you haven't changed the oil and the filters in your engine, for example, for a long time, eventually the gunk builds up in your engine and your engine seizes and stops running. The second fundamental way that toxins affect us broadly is by interfering with our immune system. So some toxins can affect our immune system so that we are more susceptible to colds and infections or other more serious conditions. Other toxins do the opposite. They overexcite our immune system and cause it to become hyperactive, even to the point where it can actually attack healthy cells in our body. And that's why you have things like asthma, allergies, arthritis, and lupus. And even more seriously, deadly diseases like heart disease and cancer are now associated with inflammatory and immune systems. So toxins affect us in a very, very fundamental way and are very insidious because of the way that they disguise their effects and as something else, something very, very subtle in the beginning.
So, I mean, clearly this is a big issue, a broad issue, and, concerning issue. How is this addressed in the medical community?
Well, we'd like to think of our medical system as the best in the world when it comes to interventional care. So you have a serious problem, you have a heart attack or you break a bone, and we'll try to take care of it and we'll fix it up right away. But unfortunately, our medical system is not yet built for prevention. It's not focused on wellness. It's really focused on treatment, which is far more costly in terms of dollars and cents, but also in terms of the human toll. So what we find is too often we treat symptoms. We don't get to the underlying cause. So if someone, for example, walks in with high blood pressure, most doctors will reach for the prescription pad to treat the symptom. They don't necessarily test for lead exposure, which could be what's contributing to the high blood pressure. So the medical options for chronic toxic exposure are very limited, but there's a non-prescription therapy, a natural mineral that can detox the body that I'm really excited about. So it allows the immune system to function to its full potential. So there is hope.
Yeah. Yeah. And I, just knowing, where we're at with this and the rest of the information we're going to share, certainly I share your optimism. For those that are listening, if you want to take a look at the list of things we were speaking of earlier, where you were making note of, what your concerns might be. And as you're checking them, here's sort of a way to grade yourself. If you checked 1 or 2, write that you're at moderate risk for toxicity. If you checked 3 or more, you might want to make note that you're at high risk. Now, listen, don't be alarmed if you're showing at high risk, because in a few minutes, Dr. Lee is going to tell us or share with us how we can reduce the toxic overload and help get rid of these toxins from the body. Now, Dr. Lee, as people have, been getting sicker from, issues related to this, and we see things like autism rates, have been going really through the roof. There's sort of this growing awareness about toxicity. And detox and cleansing, they're big buzzwords really in the natural health community, but there's a big difference between detox and cleansing. Can you help us with some understanding there?
Absolutely. And that's a very fundamental concept. So detox and cleansing are often used interchangeably, but they're really not the same. So what we think of as a cleanse typically refers to, drinking a juice or dietary supplement cleanser that is focused on the digestive tract. And, as a gastroenterologist, I am passionate about gut health and colon health, particularly eating your greens, fermented foods, natural fiber, and taking probiotics. Those are all helpful. There's medical literature to support that they can minimize some illnesses and prevent a lot of diseases. However, the energy and vitality people feel that after they cleanse is often short-lived, and because it just focuses on the colon. A detox goes deeper because it helps the body detoxify on a cellular level. So a much more specific, more fundamental level. So we know that toxins are not just in the digestive tract, but they're in our entire body. They're in our tissues, in the tissues such as bone, fat, even stored in our brain tissue. And it affects all of our tissues on a cellular level. So the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, tracks this. They've had an ongoing study, and the blood samples show the average person has over 200 toxins in their bloodstream, toxins which are clearly linked to all those health issues we've been talking about.
When you're mentioning that, are we only talking about adults, or does this apply to children too? Would children need to detox as well?
Absolutely. And probably that's even more important than in adults, because we now know that an entire generation of babies born have been exposed to these toxins starting in the womb. So we used to think that the placenta protects the unborn baby. It's a kind of a barrier that the mother, doesn't pass through toxins and other problems through the blood to the baby. But now we know many of these toxins in the bloodstream pass right through the placenta to the baby. So testing on the umbilical cord blood of newborn children show this to be the case. So our children are now starting out life essentially pre-polluted with toxins. And a developing baby is at even greater risk because he or she does not yet have the fully formed defense mechanisms that we as adults detoxify the body with, such as detoxification by the liver, or they also haven't formed a developed blood-brain barrier. So in the span of one generation, we've seen rising levels of developmental issues, autism, learning disabilities, and allergies, asthma. In their schools today, they've started to identify multiple food allergies as a growing problem. So no matter what your age, everyone can benefit from a whole body detox.
Thank you, Dr. Lee, for the clarity. The next area I'd like you to help us with is how to reduce exposure to those chemicals that we've been talking about. I mean, from what you've said and what I read, it's increasingly clear that many of the things that make life convenient also bring chemicals into our daily lives, and we're paying a high price. Now, folks, before Dr. Lee gets into the question, this is a good time to pick your pens back up and take this quick quiz so it can help you identify where you're being exposed to toxins.
Absolutely. So by some estimates, there are over 80,000. So 80,000 chemicals, most of them relatively new, and only a handful have ever been tested for safety. So they've been found in our environment. It's scary, scary stuff because there are steps that you can take to help reduce your exposure. When it comes to food, eat organic fruits and vegetables whenever possible. For food storage, use glass or ceramic or stainless steel containers, stainless steel water bottles. Inside the home, use natural household cleaners and use natural flooring whenever possible, such as wood or tile. For personal care products, seek out natural plant-based skincare. And, when it comes to this recent rise of chemical overload, there are steps you can take to avoid many of these issues. And if you can't do them all, any step that you can take will help reduce the body burden of chemicals.
Before we get into sort of what I'm referring to as the health burden of these heavy metals, many of the people listening, may not know that they were exposed or even, why or how they can avoid them. Can you take us through sort of a few examples that folks can make note of here and sort of think through those risk factors we're talking about?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, when it comes to heavy metals, everyone has at least a low to moderate risk. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But yet, yes, there are factors that put you at a higher risk for heavy metals. So, for example, do you drink unfiltered water? Do you drink well water? Because these water sources can have metals that include arsenic. Do you have amalgam or so-called silver fillings in your teeth? Amalgam can contain high levels of mercury, which is a neurotoxin. Do you live in a home built before 1986 or even before that, 1978? So these homes likely may still have lead paint in them and may have lead pipes or fixtures. Do you or your children have low-cost jewelry or trinkets? So these metal accessories often contain cadmium, which is highly toxic, especially if they're imported from some Asian countries. The other thing is, do you eat a lot of fish or canned tuna? So large fish, including tuna, swordfish, can have high levels of mercury. And do you eat rice? Do you drink apple juice? So arsenic is found in many rice products and some juices. So the sourcing of those ingredients is very, very important. So all of these factors can put you at a higher risk of toxicity.
Some people seem to think that the levels of metals or toxins, even, as long as they're low, aren't really a harm. Can you shed some light on, are there levels that are safe?
Well, many toxins are biologically active, even at very, very low levels. So that's one reason why there is really no, as in zero, safe level of lead in the body. And yet, one study has shown that 100%, that's 100%, all children have measurable levels of lead in their bodies, and 80% of children have mercury inside their body. So, putting that in perspective, some of the medications we prescribe, which have biological effects and side effects, those medications are prescribed with similar levels in which you'll find heavy metals in the body. So don't you think that just because something is at a low level, that it isn't damaging your health? Well, it is. And for me, the question is, how much lead is acceptable to have in my body? How much mercury do I want to have in my children's body? And the answer is simply none.
Let's turn this conversation to what we can do to remove these heavy metals and toxins from the body, and the natural solutions that are available to us.
Well, let's go back. For years, the medical options have been very, very limited. There was chelation therapy, which is very expensive and requires medical supervision due to the harshness and the risk of side effects. In the last 10 years, though, as I mentioned earlier, a new mineral has emerged that's representing what I think is a breakthrough in detoxification. It's a non-prescription, 100% safe, non-toxic. It doesn't really have any side effects. It's validated by science. And really, the results we're seeing are nothing short of remarkable.
That mineral, Dr. Lee, that you're talking about, of course, is zeolite, specifically called clinoptilolite. And even though it's been around for a long time, its true potential, it's really only been recently unlocked.
That's correct. So clinoptilolite is from a class of minerals called zeolite. So these are not nutritional minerals. You won't find zeolite in any food. And clinoptilolite has a crystal structure. So it's very unique because it's one of the few minerals that has a negative charge. So most minerals are positively charged. And that's the secret to its success. So it works almost like a magnet. This negatively charged mineral, it can attract and it can trap positively charged ions. Positively charged ions like lead, mercury, arsenic, cadmium inside its three-dimensional structure. So many toxins, including the heavy metals and other organic compounds, have a positive charge. So the zeolite captures that and traps it inside its structure so that your body can get rid of it naturally and safely, through the urine. So scientists have long known that zeolites act as filters. They've been used, they filter toxic substances. They've been used for industrial purposes for that reason for decades. But imagine if you're able to take this natural mineral that would act like a filter, it traps toxins and eliminates it safely from the body. That was the potential of zeolite. And it just took a long time for us to get to where we are today.
So, essentially, we've overcome several big hurdles to fulfill the potential of this, for me, amazing mineral. There are two key factors, I should say, really, as to why raw zeolite, that is the zeolite that's just freshly mined from the earth, doesn't work. Can you walk us through those issues?
Sure. So the native zeolite mineral, clinoptilolite, and all the studies that have been done have been on natural clinoptilolite. In its natural raw form does not work really all that well in humans when you take it out of the ground. So at least not effectively. That's because the mineral's been sitting in the earth, initially underneath the ocean for millennia, thousands and thousands of years. And while it's sitting there, it's been able to absorb heavy metals and other toxins such as lead, mercury, arsenic, and cadmium. So the filtering, the crystal structures are already full of these heavy metals. It's like a sponge that's already soaking wet, so it will have difficulty mopping up any more water. So to make it an effective detoxifier, you've got to clean out the existing pollutants so that the zeolite will be able to attract and trap toxins in the body. So this process is highly technical. It's time-consuming. It's very expensive, and most companies won't do it. They either don't have the expertise or the ability to pay to do that. The second factor you have to overcome is the size of the zeolite. So the particle size of raw zeolite is just too big to be absorbed. It's like trying to swallow sand and trying to absorb that through the gut into your body. It just doesn't happen. So it stays in the digestive system. It's not absorbed into the bloodstream. It can't cross the barrier from the gut into your bloodstream. So unlike many substances, zeolite is not water soluble. So you've got to find a way to get it into the bloodstream. You want that cleansed zeolite to go throughout the body so it can reach the cells where it needs to trap all those positively charged metals such as lead, mercury, arsenic, aluminum, for example. So the way to do that is to go very, very small. So really small. We're talking at a molecular level in the nanometer. So this is really nanotechnology, but the nanometer level. So technically, it's very difficult to achieve this. But when you get to the nanometer size level, the zeolite is actually small enough to fit in between the water molecule clusters. So now, wherever water goes throughout the body, and it goes everywhere, the zeolite, the detoxifying zeolite, can get to that area, to those tissues as well. So this is, what's been achieved remarkably with Pure Body Extra Strength. So the zeolite is cleansed, so it's clean. It's like a clean sponge, and it's very, very small, so it's sized in the nanometer range. So the zeolite is suspended within the water molecule cluster. So you can't see it, can't taste it. Clinoptilolite and zeolites are granted GRAS or GRAS status by the FDA. So that means generally recognized as safe. It's proven in numerous studies 100% safe, non-toxic, and it's easy to use with just really a few simple sprays in your mouth. So it gets absorbed, it passes through your body quickly, and in just 4 to 6 hours, it's really a very fast, effective way to detox at a very fundamentally cellular level.
Wow, that is a great summation. Thank you for that. For those that are listening and you've got high risk of toxicity on your quiz or even moderate, you're going to find that this is a simple, very affordable way to reduce that toxicity. Dr. Lee, what can people expect when they use Pure Body Extra Strength?
So let me first stress that zeolite and Pure Body Extra Strength is not a drug, okay? It's not a cure-all. It's not a treatment for any specific medical condition. What it does is it supports your immune system. So by inactivating and eliminating toxins from the body, your cellular metabolism, your immune system now can perform at its full potential. So, it's like I mentioned earlier, changing the oil in your engine, so now your engine can function optimally. So we are endowed, fortunately, with a very powerful immune system that can fight off almost anything. And when your immune system is functioning fully, you'll really discover a renewed vitality, energy, strength, and you may find that many of the symptoms people may experience are no longer an issue. So I take this product personally. I believe Pure Body Extra Strength should be an everyday part of a healthy lifestyle.
Let me just reinforce, Dr. Lee, what you're sharing there in terms of what happens when people use it. I want to just share a couple of the really hundreds of comments and really testimonials that people share with us when they've taken and they've used the Pure Body Extra Strength. So Rose said that I've been using the Pure Body Extra Strength spray, and I've noticed that my IBS symptoms have slowly dissipated and almost completely disappeared. And then she added that I put my youngest daughter on Pure Body Extra Strength, and she's had the most amazing summer she's ever had. We'd love to hear that about kids. Her first summer ever free from allergies. And Sharon wrote in, she said, I feel like the Pure Body Extra Strength is amazing. I have used it to help with swelling from bee stings, bad scrapes on the knees, skin rashes, sores in my mouth, bug bites. seeing such results visually makes me confident knowing how it's helping me on the inside daily. So we appreciated sharing that with us. And then Anthony told us that my son has allergies and eczema, and after just a few days of the spray, I could tell he was already itching less. The spray, I sprayed it orally and actually directly onto his skin. Amazing stuff. So Anthony, we appreciate those comments. And Peggy shared, I've been on Pure Body Extra Strength Spray for a month, and the great news is my blood sugars have already reduced by 20 points daily. And then Pam shared with us, I just love your zeolite products. I am very susceptible to allergies triggering sinus infections. The ear, nose, and throat doctors even suggested surgery. However, Pure Body Extra Strength tackled the allergies in my body, and I'm happy to say I have not had a sinus infection in 2 years. And of course, there's many others, folks that have shared with us their stories. So again, let me just echo what Dr. Lee shared. This is not a treatment designed to prevent or cure disease, but just shows how effective your body, your immune system can be when toxins are removed. And so stay with us. And in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to share with you a very special offer, a chance for those that want this product, that need this product to save. And it's only going to be available for those that are participating with us on the webinar. So Dr. Lee, in addition to the Pure Body Extra Strength, we have our liquid Pure Body. Sometimes folks call it Pure Body Regular. Can you tell us about how they work together?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. But before I go further, let me just say that it's great to hear people share the benefits they're experiencing from the product. And you know, I don't want people to get the perception that this product is only good for people who have symptoms who are sick. So Pure Body is, beneficial. Certainly if you've got some issues, some medical challenges that have, manifesting itself in symptoms and toxicity, but it's really good for everybody. So, whether you're young or old, healthy or not, I think you would benefit from a product like this. So, Pure Body Extra Strength, because it is absorbed immediately for cellular detox, works very, very quickly. But if you want to also, in addition, detoxify the digestive system, that's where a lot of our foods are the source of toxins. So Pure Body is a liquid suspension. It has this cleansed zeolite size so that some of it will be absorbed through the bloodstream. Some will remain in the intestinal tract where it can bind and deactivate toxins that we ingest from our food or from the water we drink. So together, they provide a whole body detox against heavy metals. And in the face of the chronic levels of toxicity that we're seeing today, I think these represent the best form of detox available today.
So we've talked about the fact that the product is 100% natural and that it can be taken by anyone. Is there any special concerns or any additional thoughts, someone that's scoring on our quiz, that they have high levels of toxicity?
Well, for the vast majority of people, the only side effect they may experience is basically feeling better, getting more energy, more mental clarity, feeling great. And that's of course our goal. This is basically from a passive detoxification, meaning the toxins are trapped and they're inactivated, they pass through out of the body. However, the toxins, and especially in people who have high toxicity levels, may be drawn out of the other tissues, such as the bone and the fat, and be stored there for a long time. So as it's being drawn out, it gets circulated through the blood system. So some people may experience initially, some tiredness. They may get a few muscle aches, or maybe they'll experience a headache. Most of this is mild. It's transient. So basically, if people drink more water, it helps flush out the toxins faster. And it slows down, maybe slow down the process for a couple of days of detoxification. They'll be back to their optimal state, in a short period of time.
Yeah, that's what my personal experience has been from working with the product. Dr. Lee, let me call upon your expertise for a moment as a gastroenterologist on how to detoxify through the digestive system.
Well, the research in this field is incredibly exciting. It's dynamic because we're learning a lot of new amazing things about our gut microbiome, basically, which is our digestive tract. And every day there seems to be a new story or a new article that gets published. So, doctors always tell you to eat your greens. And we're just learning really now how really important that really is. So, all the ways that eating greens are good for you. And it's not just that they're full of vitamins and minerals and antioxidants that strengthens our bodies, our immune systems. Actually, the color itself makes a difference. The pigment of the color comes from chlorophyll. And actually, chlorophyll helps to detoxify volatile organic compounds. Things are like benzene are carcinogenic. They're highly toxic. So, in fact, a recent study on broccoli showed that it doubled the body's ability to remove benzene naturally and safely. So that's very important because zeolite works primarily on positively charged particles. So greens work incredibly well in conjunction with zeolite to support detox of a wide variety of toxins.
Dr. Lee, that's exactly why we have paired both our zeolite detox products, Pure Body and Pure Body Extra Strength, with our greens product, Super Greens Plus D. For those that might not be familiar, can I ask you to share your medical opinion on our Super Greens product?
Oh, sure. Super Greens Plus D really has everything that your physician, your gastroenterologist would want. So you have very, organic, nutrient-dense greens, such as extracts from barley grass, parsley, spinach, broccoli, which has high sulforaphanes, which studies have shown is very protective against a range of health concerns. You'll find vitamin D from organic mushrooms. So not the typical vitamin D that's a chemical isolate that you find in a lot of supplements. This is really natural vitamin D. It's a whole food with all of the phytonutrients. You get plant-based enzymes to support digestion. So digestive enzymes to help you basically digest better and get the nutrients into your system better. And you get a healthy serving of probiotics, which we all know now today, the healthy bacteria that's beneficial, not just to your gut, but to a lot of other things in your body. So it suppresses the unhealthy bacteria that could be in your intestinal tract and throughout your body. So on its own, Super Greens Plus D is an amazing supplement. So in combination with the Pure Body products, you really get complete support for your detox and for your immunity. And in an age of rising health costs, and all of us, have seen that today, this is really an affordable solution to many of the environmental risk factors that we face today. So the reality is prevention and decreasing your risk of chronic disease is a far better alternative to harsh treatments, potential side effects, or surgical treatment.
Well, Dr. Lee, I could not agree more. And I just want to thank you again for taking your valuable time. I know your schedule's in high demand to be with us today and share with us, your thoughts and your viewpoint as a medical professional. Folks, you've been hearing from one of our preeminent doctors on environmental toxins and how these toxins cause a variety of symptoms and how the volume of toxins frankly, it's overwhelming the immune system, and how essentially it is to detox, particularly at a cellular level. So, by now, I hope you've looked at your toxicity quiz answers and you can see that even if you're at a high risk rate or moderate risk for toxicity, there's hope. And there are ways to reduce your risk factors that we talked about throughout the webinar, as well as live free of these issues and support your body's detoxification naturally. So here's my question to you. What would it be worth? What would it be worth to breathe easier, right? When you're around those people during the cough and cold and flu season, they're sniffling and sneezing, or if you're on an airplane, right? To breathe easier, or to have your children, be free of heavy metals such as lead or mercury, or to be able to clear out the cobwebs so you no longer have that brain fog that's just exhausting to try to punch through, or to have the energy and the vitality to truly be yourself and to be at your best. What would that be worth to you? Let me share just a couple more people's thoughts and what it was worth to them. And this is from Aaron. Aaron's a veteran. He came back from deployment with health issues and essentially wanted to get his life back. And so he said, I feel 1,000 times better than I did before. I'm no longer feel low, constantly tired or irritable. I sleep much better. My mood is more stable, and I'm happier throughout the day. And so, Aaron, we certainly appreciate you sharing that with us. And then from Elena, a beautiful little girl who's had a lifelong struggle with ear infections and chronic skin issues. Her mom wrote to us to say that for the first time in almost 3 years, Elena's ears are completely clear. And after just one day, the skin on her arm looked better, and by the 5th day, it was amazing. So that's great, and we're excited for Elena. And then Sandra shared with us her thoughts. She essentially thought her years were catching up to her. And so then when she got on the product, this is what she said her experience was. Now when I wake up, I actually spring out of bed, and I have never felt better. The mental clarity I have has helped me become more organized and focused, and I feel as young again as I have, and it's almost like I'm starting a new life. So we love hearing those stories, and frankly, folks, we could fill up the entire evening with stories from people that are using this product. Tens of thousands of people around the world using our Pure Body products. We're excited for them. So what would it be worth to you to feel better? If you're looking at alternative detoxes, right, because there are some choices, and some of this was mentioned by Dr. Lee, IV chelation therapy, for example. Here's what I discovered when I looked into it. The first, you got to be prepared to spend some time with this treatment. Sessions range anywhere from 3 to 4 hours with an IV drip, stuck directly into your vein. And most of the time, the recommendation is to start with 8 to 12 treatments. The cost can run from between $145 to $225 a session. So that means that anywhere from $1,100 to maybe as much as $2,700 to $3,000, if not really a lot more. And of course, it comes, as Dr. Lee mentioned, with some pretty serious side effects. You have to be monitored by a medical professional, a medical doctor. And then there's also detox treatments, which is, it's an option, right? They generally start at 3-day sessions. They can go as long as 2 weeks to 6 weeks. For a 3-day session, the prices I saw were anywhere from $2,400 to as much as $3,500. That's a lot of time and money. Here's the good news. You don't have to go through that type of situation. You don't have to go through the days on end of bland diets or the excruciatingly uncomfortable cleanse, right? Just to fight against toxicity. With the Detox Super Pack, we have the perfect combination that is simple and easy and many, many times more effective than anything else. Pure Body. Just 4 drops 3 times per day in water or any other beverage you enjoy. Pure Body Extra Strength is just 4 sprays 3 times a day by mouth. And then Super Greens Plus D is just 3 small capsules by mouth per day. That's it. And the sooner you get started, the faster you can trap the toxic waste circulating inside of your body. Now, what makes the Touchstone Essentials Detox Super Pack so different, what separates us from the others, is the extensive research and development poured into it. Over 300 studies have proven that clinoptilolite, that's the zeolite that we use, has a powerful ability to trap toxins and carry them out of your body with no side effects. And this zeolite has been granted GRAS status by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. That stands for Generally Recognized as Safe. And it's 100% natural, non-toxic, completely safe for long-term use. It's the only detoxifying zeolite product also created with our proprietary sound wave technology. We use that to size the zeolite for maximum absorption, and we use our exclusive multi-step process to remove any existing pollutants from the zeolite's cage for maximum effectiveness. The potency and the purity levels of our zeolite product are always ensured by third-party testing so that you've got that peace of mind. And our barley grass, parsley, spinach, and broccoli, all grown in certified organic farms located in nutrient-rich soils. And the organic mushroom that provides the 100 IUs of vitamin D is also the same, grown in certified soil mediums. So you've got that natural vitamin D. And the plant-based probiotics, we select those to withstand the changes in pH in the intestinal tract so they can survive to better help populate the healthy bacteria in your gut. It's a natural, safe, affordable way to detoxify and be at your best. And maybe most of all, it's convenient and accessible right now. If not now, when? When will your health become a priority? The great thing about these supplements is they're completely safe and proven effective for anyone to use, and that includes you.